What up, people? What's good? Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Salute to the tribe. We're hip hop and comics and hip hop. We're a niche channel. Reserved for the best. It's super dope. I do sell comics. Check me out on Instagram at 6th_element_comics. Yeah, because comic books are the sixth element of hip hop. All right, y'all. Peace. Let me see. We're doing something very, very experimental today. Very experimental. So normally when we do our show, let me get that out of there. Normally we do our show like how we do our show. You know how we do our show. Tonight what we're doing is we're broadcasting live from Instagram with my crew, my Instagram crew, the MadMen of Comics, and we get on there and we sell comic books live from the auctions and whatnot. So what we're gonna try to do is I'm going to try to share my screen and let you guys be able to shop and buy comics with them dudes. Here we go.
Hold on 1 second, brother.
Yeah, there we go.
One of these is 35 and the other is 30. So it is.
Boom.
It's not signed by the artist. It's signed.
All right.
That it is.
Oh, and I seen Black Adam today. I just got back from seeing Black Adam, by the way. The critics are fucking retarded. They don't know what they're talking about. They're full of shit. They're not thinking about the movie. They're thinking about their reputation and all that shit. Hold on, let's see what this guy Fat T has got for us.
Okay.
Screen freezes. Again, this is experiment.
Okay, right here. Hawkeye versus Deadpool #1. That one's $30.
What's up, y'all? In the chat, let me know if you guys can hear.
Hawkeye versus Deadpool. Okay.
Can you hear my man talking?
At a time when there weren't that many variants like that at all. And then this is the first cameo appearance of Spider-Man, and it's also the first cameo appearance.
I gotta go back and look at this thing.
Piece of shit camera.
It's signed by the
Yeah?
the company. Dude, I'm looking at my picture. I look like I'm huge, bro. I am huge. Hence the name Fat T.
Fat T in the house. He's real quiet, but yeah,
So,
Def Chimp, what's
go ahead
good?
and talk about your comics, man. Let's do it. Go. Let's do it.
I'll wait for you.
Oh,
I got all these books up here at 10 each, all near mint condition. I got Spider-Man 26 with a hollow cover. I guess that's a hip hop variant in Humans versus X-Men. I'm not really into those covers, but I know a lot of people like them. I got the Weapon X, Marvel Comics Presents 79. And they have that Thor.
I got an idea.
That's all right. I have the Thor. Timeless variant.
Stop.
Very pixelated. Okay, let me try.
I do like 5 different things at once. I'm trying to get my comments back, everything.
Mute that real quick. So, yeah, no, I got you. Can't see nothing. Yeah, again, this is an experiment. We're just seeing if this works or not. Because there's a lot of ways we could do an auction. Obviously, you can do it on Instagram. You could do it on YouTube. But can you do it on both? And if so, how? So that's kind of what we're trying to do because we're doing a marathon. So the MadMen of Comics are on Instagram right now. If you go to Fat T's Comics, And right now, this live auction's been going on since noon today. So it goes from noon to midnight. It's a 12-hour marathon auction sale. Not really an auction because they're not really bidding on stuff. They're just putting it up. Here's the comic. Here's the price. If you like the comic and you want to, this is a book you want, and you look at the condition, blah, 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 and this is something you want, you just say claim, right? You want it, you claim that book. All right. And the way that works is we will then take your name, DM you with payment information like PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, whatever form that you want to make payment with. You give your address, make the payment, and the comic is going to be shipped to you the next morning, and you'll get it in a couple of days. And this is a very, very reputation built business, so you can't get screwed out of your money. If anybody just doesn't send you your comic, they'd be out of business. And so we've been doing this for years. This is something that we're extremely honorable and trustworthy, and never had any complaints. You've seen all the posts about comics curing cancer all over Instagram. Already raised over 13K and talk about so many good book for stellar prices. No, I did not see that. That is very cool. That is very cool. All right, so they're doing a big giveaway. Also, they're giving away tonight tonight they're giving away a bunch of slabs, different random things, but there's a big giveaway that we're doing in December. Okay, we do these every year. We try to do them bi-yearly. And last year, what we did, we gave away a short box full of $20 comics, right? So say you got 150 comics in a short box, and every one of those is like a $20 or better comic. Virgin variants, all kinds of nice stuff. That plus 5 9.8 slabs, right? The graded encapsulated comic that you see in the case, right? So that whole thing was given to one lucky person that won. And the way you win is every time you spend $50 on comics with any of the MadMen of Comics between now and December, every $50 worth of comics that you buy gets you another free spot on that raffle wheel. All right. You can't buy raffle spots. They're free. You just get them by shopping with us, right? So every $50 you spend with us, say you spend $200, you get 4 free raffle spots, right? And this is between now and December. Actually, we've been doing this for like 4 months now. So there's people with 20 and 30 spots right now. All right. And you can do the math on that. But the way you guys get in that is simply by shopping with us. So we record the names, and like I said, every $50 get another check, right? Another little mark, right? And then so on December 9th, we spin that wheel with all the names on there. If you got 9 spots, your name's going to be on that wheel 9 times, right? Everybody's name is on the wheel. We spin the wheel. Boom. Whoever wins it this year is going to win a full box of 25 9.8 CGC and CBCS slabs. All right. So that's 25 9.8 slabbed comics. They're random. I don't know what they're all different ones. No bullshit, like dope books. All right. And all 9.8s, no 9.6s at all. So 25 of them, a big box of them. That's the top prize, right? So I know last year we did it. We had 4 prizes. So we spun the wheel 4 times and 4 different people won something. There were so many people involved and so many people had so many spots that I felt bad that we only did 4 and we did 3 more after that. I looked around the shop here and my homeboys, where everybody like scrambled, like, let's find some more prizes. And we found some statues and other shit. And we did like seven giveaways last year. So it's going to be just like that this December 9th. But it's free to get in, man. It's free to get your name on that raffle wheel. All you got to do is buy comic books. So you're not really paying for your spot. You're just buying comic books. You're getting comics for your money. The spots are free. Right now, it looks like they got up. Oh, I love that cover. The Spider-Man, Venom, and Carnage. That is fire. So, but this didn't really work out, obviously, as I hoped. I was hoping that we'd get a nice big full screen of what they see, and you guys could see all the comics very well, and we could do, you guys could even claim some stuff and have some fun. But this just doesn't seem to be really working very well. So I'm gonna just talk about some Black Adam and shit, because this isn't really working. And that's cool. It was an experiment. But it is what it is. I love that Weapon X2, NORAD. I don't know, man. I don't know. Can you guys see it? Like, we can do this if you guys want to, if you guys can see. But if it's super pixelated and you can't see shit, then agreed. I just came from it. A few minutes ago, I just walked in the door, set this thing up. Just came from Black Adam, and I thought it was cool as hell. Straight up. I think the critics are trying to sound smart and witty and like they're above it all, but I think they're full of shit. I thought it was dope. To be honest. Yeah, I know it's way too small. You can't see shit. Wondered if I. How does this look? Yeah, you can't see any. Even if I put the phone right up to it, it's not gonna work. Wait, where are we going?
Appearance who's the female Thor that I just can't think of anytime? Jane.
Jane Foster.
Oh my God. Anyway,
Foster.
Spider-Gwen, okay, you're gonna get the first Black Witch. You're gonna get New Avengers #4, which is a hot key issue right now. Contest of Champions #1. The first cameo of Thor, the second cameo of Corner. That is a $470 wall, $250. You can have the whole wall.
Wow. Wow.
Jane Foster, thank you. Damn it, I'm gonna tattoo that fucking thing on my arm. I just forgetting it. $470. You can have it for $250.
Tell them the man in
The
black.
whole wall.
That was dope, bro. It was so many dope scenes, man, in that movie.
And free shipping. Please remember, for me, free shipping if you pay tonight. So if you want Cash App, you just put a $sign instead of an @
I don't know, man. I can't.
You got Mjolnir tattooed on your.
Yeah, I can't do it. It just sounds like shit. Sorry about that. It looks like shit, sounds like shit. You can't really see it. But what we do? So on. What do you say? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing the show, guys. Sorry, guys. Talking to Instagram. We're live, so I'm trying to do this thing, man. But oh man, he's got this dope Black Adam bundle of comics up there right now that he just put up. I'm gonna put the Instagram so you guys can actually, you know what, this would work. You guys just could actually pop on Instagram while we're live too if you wanted to go and see what they're doing. So I'll just give you the IG. Let me put it up here on the screen for you. This is where you want to go if you want to hop in the sale there and see what's what. All right. So that's it. So there you go, guys. If you want to go on Instagram and see the auction, or not the auction, but the live claim sale in action, there you go. Go check it out. Um, Getting to Black Adam though, I don't know really what the critics were talking about, because they killed it. It was dope. Yeah, I really don't kind of get what the hell they're all complaining about, to be honest. A lot of them said that they thought it was a little bit corny or cheesy or whatever. And to that, yeah, there is a level of that, of course. It's not, if you're looking for it to be like a serious, very serious dramatic movie, it's a comic book movie. It's a superhero film. No question. And it has all the superhero tropes, all the popular comic shit that you see in all the movies, and all that good stuff. um I think this is kind of their answer to the MCU. This reminded me more of an Avengers film than any of the other past DC, recent, DC films. If that makes sense. It's like they kind of hit that formula, and so they do all the familiar formula tropes. There's a lot of stuff that they almost copied, from a lot of the movies and stuff like that, but in a cool way. There's no complaints. There's nothing really bad to say about this movie. Not really. There's nothing really bad about this movie. It was actually good for the most part. What's up? I might need it soon. But the sequel already is actually going to come pretty fast, so that's actually a pretty cool thing. It's speaking to comic book about the timeline for the potential sequel. Garcia said, it's not going to take that long. I can promise you that. We always hope the first domino is the easy one. We'll get cooking on it fast, that's for sure. So if that's the case, and so often is the case, it's possible that plenty of ideas were tossed around for a sequel during the development and production of the first film. That happens all the time. So they might have already had their whole plan in motion, and all they got to do is execute it. And Johnson is keen on seeing his character square off with Henry Cavill's Superman. Like, he's really excited for that. So keen, in fact, that he chose to spoil the character's post-credit scene appearance a week before the film premiered. So everybody already knew that Cavill was going to be in the post-credit scene, which of course he was, and was dope. I thought it was pretty cool. It was cool to see him with the sort of curly Q hair, deal. Because we haven't seen him with that, the little curl on his hair. And I guess he kind of had like the sort of, it was closer to the Christopher Reeves suit than we saw in Man of Steel, closer to that 70s look. And they did give the little nod of the little 70s theme song playing, like, kind of just came in. It was pretty cool. So, yeah, you can't, and but with the sequel, whether the script features Superman, Shazam, or somebody else entirely, Flynn backed up Garcia's promise. He said, "Don't worry, this one will be fast. We will open up the magic wagon. We'll have the script ready pretty fast." The producer says. And of course, a script doesn't necessarily mean that the film will be given the green light by Warner Brothers. That's going to be depending on the success of this film. But the company's still searching for a new figure, to atop DC Films following the exit of Walter Hamada, and the projected box office for Black Adam slipped a bit this past week following a mixed reaction in its initial wave of reviews. All right. Early reviews, early critiques came out, and people are fucking sheeple. I'm just going to keep it a buck. That's what it is. I'm just going to keep it a buck. All these critics came out and said this and that, and people just love to jump on bandwagons and be a part of the crowd. So that kind people are, oh, I'm not even going to see it then. No. Critics said it was bad. I'm not even going to see it. Critics said Love and Thunder was the best Marvel movie to date. So I do not listen to critics ever. Because fuck what their opinion is. I want my own opinion. You know what I'm saying? So, but however, with Johnson leading the charge, to make Black Adam a key character in the future of the DC universe, it's hard to imagine that he'll be denied a sequel. I really don't see that happening in any way. And some people are wondering if the Snyderverse is officially being restored now. We did see Cavill is Superman and all that, whether that's Snyderverse or whatever, but he's definitely back in the DC extended universe, which could mean the Snyderverse is being restored after Black Adam. All right. The release of Zack Snyder's Justice League in 2021 created a new campaign by the director's fan base to have Warner Brothers and DC Films restore the Snyderverse. And there have not been any signs that this is part of the DCEU's plans. So as it seemed like the studio was actively looking to move, as far away from Snyder's vision as possible, this included rebooting Batman and sidelining a bunch of several, Justice League heroes. And the DCEU might now be renewing its efforts to restore the Snyderverse with Black Adam. That might be the sort of plan. I gotta turn that off. What's going on here? How is my phone off and I still hear it? Literally, it's turned off. Oh my god. That it? All right, good. Sorry about that. Dwayne Johnson, his long-awaited movie, is firmly connected to the main DCEU through cameos from Amanda Waller and Peacemaker's Amelia Harcourt. But Black Adam's big cameo, obviously, is the post-credit scene when Cavill returns to Superman. And as the original lead of the DCEU and Snyderverse, his return is a big deal, and it does sort of give people that hint or that sort of hankering that the Snyderverse might be coming back or something. And as the studios previously sidelined the Man of Steel after 2017's Justice League, only allowing faceless cameos to happen amid Superman's uncertain future. They, especially with like Batman versus Superman, like they were like not really sure. And then, but Black Adam bringing Cavill back has now reunited plans for the Man of Steel sequel and speculation that the Snyderverse is going to be restored. Does Cavill's Superman return necessarily mean that it's the Snyderverse being restored? I wish it did. Unfortunately, I don't think it necessarily does, but that doesn't mean that it's not. But Cavill's Superman could be viewed as a step in the right direction for the DCEU to restore the Snyderverse. Sort of recasting any of the main characters would be a massive sign that the studios are looking to move beyond Snyder's plans and separate the DCU's future from the director's original films. Cavill sticking around as Man of Steel means that there is one less hurdle for Warner Brothers when it comes to revitalizing plans for the Snyderverse. But this is more of a move to maintain the continuity and further alienate older movies in the franchise. But it's still a bit of a stretch to say that Cavill Superman's return is a sign that, a sure sign that it's, Snyderverse coming back. But Warner Brothers is still very much working with several cast members from the Snyderverse. Obviously, Momoa is working on Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Gal Gadot is expected to return for another Wonder Woman Part 3. Even, Ezra Miller's got The Flash coming out, and Ben Affleck has 2 more Batman appearances lined up. But their appearances would not be seen as a sign that the, hashtag restore the Snyderverse campaign worked. So neither should Cavill's return in Black Adam, necessarily. But I want to be an optimist and say, yes, yes, the Snyderverse, is coming back. But let me catch up on my comments. My man Norn Rad. There were a couple moments like when Black Adam leapt off to help the girl's son when he was just preaching about being a hero. It kind of contradicting to the character. There was yeah. I'm already wondering what villain that they could use in Man of Steel 2, Black Adam 2. I feel they'd team up before they fight. After teaming up, I can see them getting into a fight during team up contradictory methods. Honestly, I would see it the other way around personally. I would see them fighting first and then teaming up. That's usually how it goes, but not to say that it couldn't go the other way. You're right. It very well might. I just thought of it being the other way. I thought, yeah, The Rock really wants to show, The Rock's a Superman fan above and beyond. First and foremost, he's just, he's just Black Adam because he can't play Superman, because they don't have a Black Superman movie yet. But bottom line is, he basically made Black Adam to get into a Superman movie. So his goal, he wants to fight, Superman. He really wants to see them fight. What was that? He really wants to fight Superman. So that's probably what he's going to do first. And then because in the comics, and providing that they are going to try to stick to the source material like The Rock claims that he wants to do, in the comics, Black Adam eventually lobbies to join the Justice League. Like, he really wants to be a Justice League member, and they don't want to let him because they don't believe that he's, turned a leaf, or that he can possibly be a good guy. And, because he still kills he kills the bad guys. He doesn't give a damn. And that's what I love about him. But that's that's like a big deal breaker for the Justice League, of course. But yeah, so it would unfortunately make sense to, and I see the way The Rock's doing this, but he's gonna play it anti-hero. He's not gonna go full villain. So I do agree with you, Nolan Rad, that there needs to and probably will be a third character, a villain that, that's the real big bad. That, Black Adam and Superman, they have the fight, but then they've got to team up to beat whoever. Brainiac would be dope. Someone that we haven't seen yet. I would love to see a great Superman villain from the comics that we haven't seen. That's just what I would want to see. But yeah, restoring the Snyderverse is a complicated matter for the DCEU, especially since all signs point to Zack Snyder's Justice League not being the version of the movie that is canon, which I think is like, it just blows my mind. It's like, who's in charge? Like, what are you thinking? But all previous reports have made it clear that Warner Brothers and DC Films view the 2017 theatrical what was I saying? Theatrical release version of the Justice League that Joss Whedon reshot to be canon. And this is how previous movies connected to the Justice League operated, like Aquaman building off the movie instead of the Snyder cut, ended Arthur Curry's story. And but there's room to change. Let me get that. But there is sorry guys. But there is room for this to change. God damn it. I really want this to stop making noise. Shit.
And that's the way that comics are right now. This is a perfect segue. I have no idea if Reno's people can hear what I'm saying, but that's the way comics are right now. People can't buy comics because they sell their comics. Like the 2008 housing crisis, you have this basically this overabundance, this stock of comics, and people can't get rid of them to people who collect, because the people who collect aren't making enough money or extra money, except maybe at the end of the month they'll have, like, money set aside, right? and they might be able to blow 100, and that's it. Mm-hmm. The beginning of the month, that's it.
Yep, that's pretty much the way it goes.
And that's what they tell me. That's what they tell me.
I'm gonna have to leave out though, Fat T, because I can't mute my phone and it's dipping into the mic, so I gotta go. But sorry.
I'm sorry.
Nah, we'll figure this out though. This was a good test. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done next time.
It'll be fun. It's gonna be good, dude.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, we can also do a live sale straight from YouTube too, and we can work that out. But there's a lot of shit we can do. We'll figure it out. Because this is a good idea. We just need to figure out the technology, but we'll get it. We'll get it.
It's always the technology, brother. You know what I'm saying?
100%. 100%.
Peace, brother.
All right, man. Peace. All right. Yeah. Sorry about that. So, I wish they went a little further into the Wizards locking away Black Adam in the movie. It was too fast. A lot of the movie was crammed a little too much, but they made for more action and less drama. Yeah. Somebody actually complained that there was too many info drops, like too much lore, and I'm like, no such thing as too much lore, in my opinion. I love lore. More info drops, please. But no, I didn't find that at all. I thought it was like you said, a lot of action for sure. I mean, the effects were great. The action was phenomenal. A lot of cool scenes, a lot of cool stuff happening. Even in the beginning when he does his Quicksilver routine, like everything slows down and he's doing his Quicksilver routine. They did it with a sort of a unique style. It was like a different way that they did it. It actually seemed fresh and kind of new. Something like inspired by the cool shit that you loved from the Quicksilver scenes and in the X-Men, uh First Class type movies, but like I said, with its own unique flair. It was really cool. And there was a lot of sort of tropes like that, like, common superhero tropes that they used a lot. But like I said, man, in a really cool way, bu- 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 but I mean, now that Walter Hamada is out at DC Films and the DCEU has a new directive under Warner Brothers Discovery, Zack Snyder's Justice League could become canon retroactively. And that's what I hope. But Black Adam's marketing campaign even potentially teased this switch. One of Black Adam trailers included footage from Joss Whedon's Justice League, but the studio took it and removed the footage after fans complained, like fans were pissed. And due to Joss Whedon's controversial status and the poor reception to his movie, the DCU canon could change again and side with the Snyder Cut. It would only make sense. Fans do not like the Joss Whedon cut. They like the Snyder Cut. What is it that Joss Whedon has over you guys that you keep using his version as canon? No one likes it. You threw it in the trailer. You immediately got backlash to the point you removed it from the trailer. That's all you need to know. That's it. Beyond that, that's all you got to know. That's it. Now you know where you need to do. You know what you need to do. That's what's so cool about The Rock being here, because never was a big Rock fan, but he's growing on me because I'm liking how he, is down with giving the fans what they want. Seems really obvious, but these studios don't do it. Like Stu always says, well, Hollywood ain't that smart, but honestly, it's like, it seems like you don't have to be that smart to do this. Is common sense. But even if Zack Snyder's Justice League becomes DCU canon, that's just the beginning of restoring the Snyderverse. If Warner Brothers Discovery is about, is serious about bringing the Snyderverse back, the first thing that they got to do is convince Zack Snyder to return, to do more stuff, which he's incredibly busy at Netflix. He's shepherding the Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon franchises, which I'm super excited about. Rebel Moon, we're definitely going to be covering Rebel Moon when that shit comes out. That looks really dope. That's a movie that was actually written to be a Star Wars film, and for whatever reasons, it didn't go that way. But the script was so dope that he's making it, its own thing. So that'll be really cool. I'm excited about that. But the CEO, David Zaslav, and co-chairman Michael DeLuca and Pam Addy would need to convince Snyder that his second go-around with the DCU would be very different from before, because it wasn't a great experience. And bringing Snyder back is the only way the Snyderverse can really be restored, because he has to do more. But once he's back on board, the Snyderverse could continue as initially intended, and with a few updates. The key to restoring the Snyderverse would be finalizing plans for Zack Snyder to make Justice League 2, Justice League 3, and this would allow him to finish the original 5-movie plan built around Superman and the Justice League fighting Darkseid. DC Films would also need to figure out if Ben Affleck's solo Batman project could still happen, and if a Cyborg solo movie was still in the cards. But the studios would also need to work with Snyder to figure out how upcoming DCU films, including Man of Steel 2, fit in the Snyderverse. But Henry Cavill's Superman return does make it easier for DC to restore, especially after the Snyderverse. But it still doesn't seem likely that this will happen after Black Adam. Warner Brothers Discovery has only briefly teased its plans for the future. But one of the clear directives is solidifying DC's 10-year plan, which I guess the second go around, but this will include highlighting DC's Trinity, the big three, and utilizing other popular characters. But it would be quite weird if the DCU's new 10-year plan became trying to finish the original one. But Black Adam is part of the beginning of a new era for the shared universe. And Henry Cavill's Superman return keeps connections to what came before, but it also signals a very different future than the Snyderverse. Because, but again, restoring the Snyderverse is not something that should be totally discounted, though. And no one thought the Snyderverse would be released. Ben Affleck would play Batman after the Justice League, or Henry Cavill Superman return, whatever happened, or that the Flash movie was going to be made. But DC is also beginning to step up further into the multiverse. And even though the main DCU timeline is the main focus, the Batman franchise and Joker getting a sequel show a willingness to make movies separate from it. Like, you know what I mean? So that could eventually mean restoring the Snyderverse and letting Zack Snyder finish his story without any bigger universe complications. But as I mentioned before, restoring the Snyderverse is not something that would happen anytime soon, though, because Zack Snyder's way too busy on to take on 2 Justice League movies. And this would also be a better move saved for when the DCU is on more solid ground. Restoring the Snyderverse while the DCU is still charting its course beyond Snyder's stories could be pretty confusing for general audiences. And, of course, time is ticking on the side of the Snyderverse being restored when the original cast members would still be interested and willing to participate. So there cannot be too long a wait after Black Adam for the DCU to pull this off properly. But I think it's almost inevitable, though, that Black Adam, this movie, is starting a new era. Whatever it is that they do, it's really going to start now, because this movie was different than any of the other DC movies. Like, completely different. It I could say it kind of had that the dark tone color-wise, visually, a little bit. Not as much as the other movies, but the movie itself, I don't know, the vibe itself, the acting, maybe something about it, and even the scenes that they do very much remind me of Avengers movies, like Captain America movies, Phase 3, just like that. I don't know, it's just that MCU sort of thing that DC was very different than. This is more like that, if that makes sense. I wish they would get a little further into the wheel. We said that. We said that. The soundtrack was great. That was the W. That was W. The new cameras The Rock had got for the movie. They were custom experimental cams. Yeah, that's what I mean. That sort of like grainy. It's like almost like grainy, dirty. I don't know, man. It just looks really dope. It really looks dope. It looks cool as fuck. I'm not gonna even lie. The whole movie was just cool. I'm not gonna say that it was like super badass, just dark and just. It had its corny moments. It definitely had its moments that connected to Shazam in that way, but not in a way that deters even me. Like I'm someone that really likes the darker stuff. I really just not a guy that's into like the super corny, goofy stuff. I was never like a Superman fan, always a Batman fan, if that sort of gives you context. But Man of Steel was like a whole Man of Steel was the first Superman movie that I was like, oh shit, like I'm like a Superman fan now. Like that was so different. It was so dope. And this is like a mix between like Man of Steel and like the Avengers, if that makes sense. It's hard to explain, but um, it was just dope. And the ending was dope too. Doctor. Again, I'm sure you guys know this is a spoiler alert situation. I just saw the movie, and so I am talking about it. I don't want to like ruin anybody's experience, so just so you know. But yeah, but believe it or not, the ending of Black Adam is a lot deeper than your average superhero movie because this movie wasn't deeper than your average superhero movie for the most part. It was just pretty much surface level superhero movie with like really cool, badass action stuff. But at the very least, there's more going on, and given how little backstory it provides for pivotal characters like Dr. Fate and Hawkman, not to mention the deep DC lore tied to Black Adam himself, means that a little extra context might help you keep track of everything that went down. So let's try to get at this. This the seeds for the ending of the film are planted midway, all right, through the film's first arc during the introduction of Pierce Brosnan as Kent Nelson, aka Dr. Fate. So we see Brosnan riding in a car when the mystical, and according to the film, also alien helmet of Naboo materializes next to him, and sort of when touching the helmet, Nelson experiences a vision of a massive battle in Kandak with the demon Sabak and appears to witness the death of his teammate and old friend Hawkman. Of course, that's the only portion of the vision that we, the audience, see, and it's not clear whether Dr. Fate also envisions the solution here or his actions later in the film are a direct attempt to change it. And this isn't that weird. As Cyclone tells Atom Smasher at one point in the film, Dr. Fate's powers are so intense that Kent Nelson often seems possessed when he's wearing the helmet of Naboo, almost as if Dr. Fate turns into another entity entirely. And that's pretty much in line with how the character is portrayed in the comics as well. And Dr. Fate is not only scary powerful, but he's just kind of scary too. Like he's dope. Like he's a and in the comics, I mean, he's a goat. Like this is definitely DC's Doctor Strange. And of course, there's a whole lot of movie that happens between this and the ending, but that's sort of the setup. But throughout the film, the traitorous Ishmael is hunting for the crown of Sabak, the artifact made from the magical metal Eternium, and it's the same crown that his ancestor King Octon wore in Kandak 5,000 years earlier. But the secret to the crown of Sabak isn't that it grants its wearer power, but they must die while in possession of it. Death is the path to life, is what it says on the inside, which is a really obvious, and they even make fun of how obvious, that is. Or at first they say life is a path to death. That's what they keep saying. But it's actually death is a path to life. And when Ishmael engineers his own death at Black Adam's hand, he gets what he wants and is sent to the rock of finality, right? Which, it seems like the magical DCEU equivalent of hell, but is also basically the evil equivalent of the rock of eternity, the site where both Black Adam and Shazam's Billy Batson were granted their powers. And it's there that he's greeted by a group of demons who grant him the power he has been looking for. And once he speaks their combined name, kind of like Shazam, while they don't identify themselves on screen, their names in the comics are Satan, Aim, Belial, Beelzebub, Asmodeus, and Crades, I think. Put them together and you have the magical word Sabak, right? Just by taking the first letter of each of their names, which is also the name of the demon that Ishmael transforms into, imbued with all the powers of all his demon namesakes. If you guys are looking for an explanation of what gods grant Black Adam his powers, and whose powers are they when he says Shazam, I can break that down to you in a minute. But Ishmael essentially committed suicide by Antihero when he kidnapped Amon. He knew that Black Adam would come. He knew that would result in his death. There was no question. And the fact that it came by mystical lightning probably even helped the Eternium in the crown of Sabak do its thing and send him to the rock of finality. And it had another possibly unexpected byproduct. Adam inadvertently caused serious injury to Amon, and with the memory of how his son sacrificed himself, that's too much for him to bear. So Black Adam says the magic word of Shazam for the first time in 5,000 years, which reverts him to his mortal form, Teth Adam, and allows himself to be taken into custody. And I just got to say, The Rock looks really funny as a skinny dude. Because his head doesn't shrink. He's still has big ass head, but he's all skinny. You can't imagine The Rock being skinny, but it's really kind of funny. It looks kind of goofy too, but I understand. But he's taken to a Task Force X, as in the Suicide Squad, Black Site, where he's met by Argus, which is Agent, Amelia Harcourt. Peacemaker is Jennifer Holland. It's a nice little cameo. Adam is placed in stasis in what appears to be a room with hundreds of other superhumans that they've caught and put him in this stasis field. And that's that. That's it. He's done. Of course, that's not. Sabak, looking like a really dope, heavy metal album cover demon, right? With the pentagram on his chest and the big horns. I mean, red skin. He's right out of, a Meatloaf album cover or something. But he returns to Earth and begins raising all the legions of hell and to wreak havoc, on Kandak. Essentially, if he's able to sit on the throne of Kandak, the same throne that King Octon occupied 5,000 years prior, it's all over for the world. That's it. And as cool as the JSA are, they're completely outmatched. It seems, are they? But you see, Sabak didn't count on Dr. Fate. Frankly, neither did Dr. Fate's teammates expect this to happen. And this is indeed the scenario that Dr. Fate envisioned earlier in the movie. So you got to follow it, because this movie is boom, 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 boom. It's very fast paced. There's no time to sit and contemplate some shit or get into a conversation. It's it's all very fast. So you got to keep, remember Dr. Fate doing that. But it really comes together at the end. And this is where he takes action, right? He's using his magical powers to prevent the JSA from pursuing him as he takes on Sabak on his own. He's got a force field. They can't follow him, and he's going to go take him on by himself. And he knows that this isn't going to work. He's just buying time to give Teth Adam, Black Adam, a mystical sort of telepathy pep talk, which to wake him up from his suspended animation. And he knows but he knows it's pretty much a suicide mission, but it's the only way, I guess, that he can contact Black Adam and wake him up. And So fate tells him, he's like the battle that your son was meant to fight is upon us. Another thing that they in the beginning, they make us think that this kid is Black Adam. We find out at the end, again, spoiler alert, guys. We find out at the end that that was actually his son. So the kid that we think is Black Adam is actually Black Adam's son, and then we see the adult Black Adam, and we see, they sort of make it all make sense. But it's like, so fate telepathically tells that to him, and referring to how his son was indeed the champion of Shazam, and was meant to prevent King Octon from becoming Sabak and ruling the world. And it's a wonderful sequence, and it's a really great off-screen performance from Pierce Brosnan. And it awakens Black Adam and frees him from his stasis tank. I should say Teth Adam. At this point, he's not Black Adam. He's Teth Adam, right? Because he doesn't have any powers. He's just skinny Teth Adam. That's his name. He's not Black Adam. So frees him from his stasis tank. But then he's still unable to speak, the magic words. He's got this thing on his face, so he can't talk, tube down his throat. And he gets pummeled by Argus guards, and he tries to escape, and it's a nice way to illustrate how even without his powers, he still knows how to fight, right? Like human on human, Teth Adam is still a beast, right? He's still like bow, 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 you know what I'm saying? Just taking dudes out, right? And with an, sort of, but even if, just put it like this, he's dope. He's dope. He's a determined individual with or without the powers. But of course, he's in an underwater prison, and Adam's just taking, a serious beating, even though he's still whooping ass, but he may drift off and die. And instead, he's visited by a vision of his son, right? Who reminds him of why he's got to fight to continue to fight. And we see that scene, and that's where we learn, that it's his son. And but is this just Adam's near-death brain showing him visions of those he loved in the past, or is this Dr. Fate planting this here to motivate him further? It's not really clear, but it works. And Teth Adam says the magic word once he gets the tube pulled out, and he's transformed, and he's Black Adam again. He's badass, and comics accurate costume this time, the full cape, like dope. All right. And it's not that big a deal, but it looks dope, right? It follows the recent DCEU tradition that started in Aquaman of having a character start the movie in a cool costume, or not really even a costume, and then eventually get one that looks like it's right out of the comics. That's dope. And of course, there's a little more to it than that, as it also represents Black Adam's spiritual rebirth and, all these things. But before this point in the movie, he was wandering directionless, right? Just a man out of time, and with no mission other than to kill anyone who got in his way or threaten people he perceived as innocent, but now he's fully ready to be Kandak's protector. And that's exactly what he does. And it takes off. And, yeah, the statue was a dope thing they used. So there's this big statue. I'll let you guys see it, but it's dope. That was cool. Knowing Rad, but yeah. So Dr. Fate calls on his full mystical arsenal, in this ending, and then including creating multiple decoy versions of himself, just like Doctor Strange. Like, it looks just like Doctor Strange attacking with all these different versions, or copies of himself, like Naruto or something. But but it's not really enough. So Sabak's demon's magic and brute strength are too great, and he just like kamehamehas and blasts him with a thing, and just like evaporates him, and his helmet just falls, and then that's it. But of course, since Fate's powers aren't innate, but rather come from the helmet, Hawkman uses it to create a decoy version of himself to attack and fall on the, and it does the same thing. But then, when Sabak stabs Hawkman, this is the same portion of Dr. Fate's vision that we witnessed earlier in the film, except that's just Hawkman's mystical decoy, and he just bought Black Adam enough time to arrive on the scene and literally rip the demon in half. And it was such a dope moment. But the question remains: did Dr. Fate foresee his own demise and know that Hawkman's death was a ruse, or did he see Hawkman's death as it was meant to be and then change things accordingly? Pierce Brosnan told us about, why the Hawkman and Dr. Fate scenes are so powerful. He said, it had an emotional impact for me because these men are brothers. They are men who have traveled through the eons of life together. They know each other's souls so well. They are endowed with these incredible powers, but more importantly, they have such a human heart for each other. So that for me, as Dr. Fate, carried me through every day's work that I was with Aldous and Quintessa and Noah. So it's not about being a superhero. It's about being that man, Dr. Fate, who can foresee the future and who knows what's about to happen to his dear friends and the consequences of it. But shortly after the victory over Sabak, Dr. Fate's helmet discorporates, just sort of evaporates just like he did. But one of the primary rules of superhero storytelling is that if there's no body, then they can come back. With Fate, it's a little murkier though, but it is possible, even likely, that Kent Nelson, at least his physical form, is dead. But it's a shame because Pierce Brosnan was exceptionally delightful in this role and seemed to be having a fun time doing it. But I guess he just didn't want to sign on for like a bunch of DC comic movies. I don't really see Pierce Brosnan as really being into the comic thing. Of course, he did, what's his name? James Bond, but it's reasonable to assume that he could return, even as a disembodied mystical entity, telepathically or something, if the filmmakers wanted to. On the other hand, the center of Dr. Fate's power is in the helmet of Nabu, so another wearer could just pick it up and we could have a new Dr. Fate, but hopefully one who consults with the spirit of Kent Nelson from time to time. It would be dope to sort of have him do the Obi-Wan Luke Skywalker thing with Pierce Brosnan, whoever it might be. But this sort of thing happens all the time in DC Comics. And other folks who've worn the Dr. Fate mantle, including Inza Nelson, Khalid Nasor, even Hector Hall, the son of Hawkman, Carter Hall. But in the comics, Black Adam becomes the ruler of Kandak, and he rules fairly harshly, but fairly. But here in the film, despite the residents of the place apparently calling for a strongman dictator type after being liberated from Intergang, Adam realizes that he'd be better suited as a protector than a ruler, and just smashes the throne. Like, first he sits in the throne and he's like, but this ain't right. And he just smashes the throne. He's not going to be the ruler. He's going to be the protector, right? From a heroic standpoint, and in terms of tying a bow on the character's arc within this movie, it was the right move. But I have to say, it would have been doper to me if he was just like Dr. Doom, you know what I'm saying? Like this super anti-hero / villain sitting on a throne, you know what I mean? Like, that would have been ill. But of course, and then all the action, in Kandak even further draws the attention of Amanda Waller and Argus, who tells Black Adam that he can do what he wants as long as he stays where he is. You can't leave Kandak. If you leave Kandak, we're going to fuck you up. And he's like, who's going to fuck me up? Like, you ain't got nobody. And, she's like, well, it's somebody I can call. And he's like, call all of them because, but, obviously she's talking about Superman. And of course, breaking down all of the implications of this historic scene would take another whole hour. But, it was dope. I mean, it was a dope scene, it was dope to see him come back the way they did. I love the fact that they played the 70s like theme song and all that a little bit in the background. That was hella dope. That was smart of Hawk, man. But yeah, guys, that's our hour. That's our show. I'm sorry that we did not get the comic book sale broadcasting properly, we're gonna make that happen though, for sure. Because that will be a lot of fun for everybody. But Stu Dog is out right now. He'll be back Monday. We'll be back Monday at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Y'all already know. Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. We're here 3 days a week, broadcasting live, talking about hip hop, comic books, films, shows, all that good stuff. We got Roke coming. Look at what's his name? You got Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross coming. We're gonna chop that up Monday. We got to talk about Thunderbolts, all these different characters that could be in the Thunderbolts movie. We got a lot of stuff to get into, man. We'll talk about all that good stuff. Look at that. Look at that. Scar used to have, look at his original haircut. It's hella emo, but it's a lot better than that bullshit. But anyway, we'll get into all that stuff, man. It's gonna be dope. We might talk about Dark Avengers and all that good stuff, and all those cool things that are coming down the pipe. Y'all already know how we do, how we get down. But that's our show, y'all. Peace. We'll see you Monday.